somebody can write a dictionary later on. But we are going, that will be step 2. The first thing at the moment we are doing is we collect data and we give the metadata. What is metadata? Is it's basic information about an information. Information about an information. So like who is the singer, the date of recording, the place of recording, and like a little description of that thing, so that somebody can take that one and carry on further research with that materials. So that's how we are doing at the moment.
Have you started making the metadata in your collection?
Yes, very much. Please, I request all of you to explore our site, our archive, and you will see a lot of things. So there are models actually like the Dublin IMDI, the metadata format, but ours is like a hybrid and mixed kind of thing, customized for our
Who gets access to your archive?
It is open access. Anybody can do that, yeah.
Do you have any linkages with other archives so there can be cross-searching of items? Do you have any links with other archives in India or abroad so you can do a cross-search of items? Can you do that with your archive?
At the moment, not formally, but then the moment we launched yesterday, I shared on my profile and all. So it is being recognized by the stalwarts in this field across the globe. So they are sharing on their page themselves. So that is happening. So hopefully we will try to explore collaborative work with other people. And this morning, Principal Dr. Hewasa assured me that she had a chat with NELAC, somebody who is doing the same kind of work in Guwahati. So already started, yeah, those collaborations.
Well, congratulations to NEPA. I think it's a really amazing initiative you're spearheading at this point. Can you tell us talk a little bit about the oral technology you're using and what kind of oral technology do you think we ought to be concentrating on? What are the needs of Nagaland? What are the needs of our tribes and communities? What do you see as some of the challenges that are coming down the line for you?
Okay, so if we are to talk the relationship between documenting endangered languages and the technology, there are so many problems. So as you know, technology is like really dividing us today, the digital divide. If you look at Manipur now, they have no internet. Kashmir, they don't have internet, something like that. So for a poor community member like us, it's really difficult for us to access the internet or use the technological facility. And even if we look, going beyond that, if we look at the like AI and all, so they're going to be very unfair actually for the small language like ours. Let us bring it to one context here. So we have started welcoming the materials for NEPA. And maybe even among the Naga tribes, some tribes are a little advanced in literature and all. So the moment we did that, Ao and Angami, they sent a lot already, like 20. The rest, even 0. Now after 100 years or 50 years, if somebody searches about Naga thing of my mother tongue or somebody, they won't find anything about my stuff. They will find only like Ao or Angami or Bengali, what is being like more. Because AI work in the probability, they focus only on the history or something like that. So that is one challenges or concern I see if I have understood your question properly. So this is it. But then without technology, whatever so far we have been done would not have been possible. So I have been doing this one like for the last 13 years or 14 years. I did for my mother tongue, so my documentary materials can be found at Korsal, the one you had just mentioned. And also I had like a field linguistics experience working for Sherpa and Gurung in Gangtok. Anyone from Gangtok? Also I work for Sherpa and Gurung, and then I work for Gary in Himachal Pradesh. All through, so today Professor Umay is here, so they train us while we are in CIL. And so because of all this, we are doing what we are doing. We could do what we are doing today.
I wonder if I can turn back to Shubha. Can you hear me, Shubha? Yes. Could you tell us about how are some of the methodologies you employ? How do you collect some of your archival material? Where is it stored? Who has access to them? Of your properties of music and ethnomusicology?
Thank you. And I would just like to begin by saying we'd be very happy to collaborate and be in touch with individual scholars um, uh, like Janindi, as well as archives that we are talking about. We always have believed greatly in collaboration, and that's how we all grow and learn from each other. So, in terms of technology, Shomi, it's very different levels of technology that we can deal with for incoming material. So, there are today fairly, depends on the level of funding that you have for a project, the kind of equipment that you can provide in the field. But there's fairly reasonable, very good digital audio recorders available, and for a lot of our work, audio is good enough. I would, in fact, we go on, like to discuss about why Janindi feels that transcription is the only way to capture this and not recordings, which are much more accessible today, because they can. We don't just need access to the internet, as we can pass on digital technology very easily between phones today, or between there is a range of access mechanisms available for recordings. And transcription is restricted to those who can read Western music notation, but that's an aside. So show me, it depends what is an affordable level. Today, people are making very good recordings even on mobile phones. Now, that's not something I would recommend, but there's a range of digital technology available for recording. So when we have had good funding, the archive itself owns pretty high-end digital technology with good microphones and so on. But all the incoming, we as an archive are a repository. We take in collections made by people in the field, and we preserve them and make them available to scholars and communities or whoever is our rightful access partners. So we do not insist that you have to have this or that kind of recording for it to be brought in. We take in a great deal of analog material even now, which we digitize for the sake of preservation and storage. What we do is, in terms of physically, if you're asking, Shomi, we have our own servers on a RAID array where we create backups, and we have today about 70 terabytes of audio and video recordings in the archives. Now, how is it accessible? For every collection that we take in, we enter into an agreement wherein the person depositing, the scholar, person, whoever is working on it, gets to choose the degree of access they wish to give. They may want to totally restrict it for a short period. They may make it available only for listening within the premises of the archives, or we might have permission to make it available for research and teaching purposes only. Anything out of that we do purely by taking permission. For example, I'm sure we are all used to saying, knowing, say, song sessions that may go on all night. You have rituals that go on all night. Are you telling me somebody is going to sit online and listen to 8 hours of streaming video? It's not going to happen. So, but people do come in, if they want to come in to the archive and work on it. Yes, they do very often. When you're a researcher, you want to do that. Then you will sit and listen for a whole week if you need. And of course, we have been working, Shomi, to tell you, we've been working on several projects of late where we are trying to give recordings from the archive to the community, to the performers or their families, or to the community, because that's one of the ways that older material can go to revive traditions within a performing community. So that's a kind of summary. I hope that works.
That is fascinating. In fact, at the last Listener in Impal in February, we had a session on intellectual property rights when it comes to traditional heritage and resources. We realized that it is an ongoing discussion that is being held among archivists and librarians and scholars all over the world. It's a very important topic. Who belongs to whom? What do these materials that we're recording so assiduously and cataloging and preserving, who do they belong to? So there's some of these questions. How do you deal with some of these questions, Jeremdy? What is the state of, like at Goldsmiths, for instance, in London, in terms of study of music and transcription? Do you really need to do transcriptions? Can we just go by recordings of music? Do you have applications that will turn the music into transcriptions automatically? How do you handle the collection of songs when you go back to Nagaland? What does the community think about you? There's so many questions I want to ask you. Pick and choose. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those questions. So I left Goldsmiths 2020, so that's where I did my master's, and right now I'm just an independent researcher. Just to quickly go back to Dr. Shiba's question on the transcription. So when I'm talking about them, I'm not in any way saying like these are superior to the recordings that we have. This is just a way for me personally as a musician, because I have been trained in a Western musical, like classical tradition, so it just helps me understand it better as well. And when I've been to the villages, excuse me, a lot of people obviously grew up in the church, and there are folk musicians who now know like, the Western music notation. So when I show it to them, they're like so excited that the music that they're singing, the music that has been passed on orally, is actually being preserved in that kind of form. And that's something new for them. So it's just a way for me to have something tangible to show them as well. Because like Dr. Mataina, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, like he said, sometimes all of these digital mediums that we have are not accessible to people in remote villages. It's just not something that's possible for them. Even for me, sometimes to be in touch with, I'm all the way here in London, and for me to get in touch with someone from the village, it's just really difficult for me to constantly keep in touch. So it's just having something like this, having these transcriptions, something that they can see, and you know, they can see that this is something that they've contributed to. It's just very, for me, I found very encouraging for them as well. Sorry, what was the other question?
So many questions. I'm fascinated by your involvement and your work with the community. I find it's very respectful of the people that you are gathering information from. And I think Dr. Mataina is also doing the same thing among his Liangmei tribe in Nagaland. And yes, it's important to show people what you're doing with the transcriptions, bring back the recordings. And do you see this as a way of recording it for the future? And also, how do you see people using it to continue their traditions and the practice of their traditions in the future? How would we promote this? What do you think? Tell us what we should also do for you.
So was that question for me or for Dr. Shiba?
For you, and then we'll go to Dr. Mataina and answer the same questions after this. The community, your responsibility. We talk about ethics of collecting, intellectual property rights, the continuation of tradition. We are assuming this is all very good. How do we help this process along? You can answer that, Jeremdy.
If I can just come in while Jeremdy is thinking about it. First, I'd like to apologize, Jeremdy, for not thinking. Obviously, Nagaland is very different from many parts of the country. where there is so much training in Western music. And yes, the churches are big centers for people to know notation, which is not there in many parts of the country. So yes, you have a different situation, and I can see the value of what that would be. Shumi, you've talked about rights. Now, you see, the issue is when you're saying who does it belong to, I think that's a wrong way to look, because belonging is some very, it's a catch-all term. So nothing belongs to anybody, really. So who does the recording belong to is different from who does the tradition belong to. Who has the right to pass it on? Who has the right to perform it? Who has the right to publish about it? How do they publish? With, how do you use it? With keeping the respect, keeping the context of what are the customary rights. So there are so many issues. It's not like who does this belong to. A recording can belong to one person. The music itself doesn't belong to any one person. It belongs to a community. Does a community want to share? How do we say community? Again, it's not a monolith. All ours are not going to have the same opinion. So that is what makes all this very naughty. And I think the way forward is to be conscious. The way forward is to make sure we respect, is that we have consciousness about this, and we try to document everything that we're doing so that we're very clear, we're very transparent and honest. Laws will change and the situation will change, but we can go forward as long as our intents are correct, to the extent possible, and they will be constantly changing. I just wanted to share one small experience of working in Nagaland. I visited Pek and with a young couple who'd been working there and part of this Uramili project, and came across this group who just formed the Chakisar Cultural Preservation Society. And I was so impressed with what they were trying to do that I had a grant at that point. I have given them a digital audio, a Zoom recorder, which makes very good digital audio, stereo recordings, a camera, a digital camera, and a rather ancient laptop that I was able to buy personally. So that, because without a computer you can't deal with digital media, because they were so keen, why can't we record our own traditions? So I did manage to get this and hope that this will start a small archive in Pek. But these are what happens with community dynamics, to be very blunt. Nothing has really moved on from there, is from what I understand. So what we were able to record, the little bits, it's been used in a very beautiful documentary, Up, Down and Sideways. We have a little bit in our archive. We are publishing some of it on Folkways Smithsonian, with revenue going back to them of 1/4. But it's a very, very tiny little thing. But, so I thought that one of the ways is for us to empower the communities to themselves document and record. I still believe it, even if my very tiny, whatever attempt, impact, hasn't really borne fruit up to now. Who knows, it may in the future. So that is my contribution to this discussion.
Thank you very
my own
much.
little experience in Nagaland. So over to you, Jay.
Not just to the discussion in the field. Dr. Mataina, could you talk a little bit about some of the issues we're discussing about the community, ways of access, given access,
Okay, so
intellectual property rights?
ethics, intellectual property right. I think when it comes to those traditional materials, it's really controversial. So according to Indian intellectual property right, it keeps on changing. Somebody wrote something, till 60 years he has the right. But after he died, something like that, it belongs to nobody anymore. Like our traditional songs and all, actually it does not belong to anyone, but then it's to the community. But then if the community said it belongs to us, and if they want to keep it only with them, it's not going to work. So when we talk about language preservation through whatever means archiving, I think there are three important things: the community members, the government, and the experts or the advocates. Now, if we go to there's a big problem with this. You go to Honomase, for example, you ask them to sing one song, they'll ask 500. So the challenge is, something like that. So now not talking about the intellectual property right. Even to without that, without the support of that, you cannot do anything. But then if you say, because I'm a community member, I'm going to charge anything for you, again, that is also not going to work. So actually, this brings me to what I want to say something about like this. This morning, if you were in Ban Wang's lecture, he said he has given a problem. He got all the materials now. There's nobody to teach thing. I'll give one more problem. So this is I want you to picturize one thing. Next year in Dimapur, we are trying to open schools for every tribe. This is not real, okay? Just imagination. So the medium of language instruction is going to be each of your tribe. We will teach physics, science, everything. Will you send your kids to our school or not? The medium of the language will be, instruction will be the mother tongue. Will you send to our school or not? I think most of you will say no, you won't send. You will send to Hindi international school, English medium school, something like that. I don't blame you. We all, see, what about fishing? Will you continue to do the traditional fishing? Nobody will do to save the environment. You will use bomb or dynamite or something like that. You will continue to wear your traditional dress. Nobody will do. I don't blame you. We all like it, but then at the moment, what we have to worry is our belly. We are poor. We need to get job, money, or something like that. But meanwhile, our languages are dying. That is where archiving thing comes into picture. So that after 100 years, somebody can revive it. If we look at the Hebrew, 1,000 years, no more. Today it is like spoken again, like in Israel and all. It's because of the documentation or was archived before. So that's where I want to come back to our archive thing. So this is, there are two things, like I said. You have lots of photos, audios and all in your phone now actually. But if somebody comes and sees it, he won't get any idea what is that photo is about. So at least you have to give information about that. Description, who did all those things. That is number one thing. Number two thing is, yeah, this is purely for linguists, for transcription, the one you were asking before. So at NIPA, we are at the moment, before all the language dies, we want to keep it. Now that's why, coming back to the main question. So in our archive, we have like NIPA policy. Somebody who wants to use our material, it is open. So they have to cite the performer, the native speaker who perform it, as per the academic standards they are following. They have to give it the person who is doing the recording. He's called as creator now. And the third one is the college, the publisher. See, the college has spent lots of resources like involvement of the computer guy, the linguist, so many things. So those things should be like acknowledged kind of thing. So it is really a little bit complicated, like who owns the property of that when it comes to like the materials of the endangered language. So
I think we have just maybe time for one or two quick questions. Does anyone have a question or a comment? And please tell us who it is directed to of the four of us. Anyone? Okay. So how about if Jaremdi, I think I cut you off. Any last thoughts that you would like to share about the work that you're doing, where you want to take it to, and what it means for you and for your idea of Nagaland?
Hi, thank you so much. Yeah, the work that I'm doing right now, as I said, I'm working on the transcriptions, and obviously it's taken, like I said, it's taken me a while to share it to the public because there's the whole thing about consent and making sure that the people I got the songs from are happy with it, for it to be represented in the way that I represent it. So there is a lot of dialogue going on, and it's something that I'm working on. I just want to say, like, this festival is just a great opportunity for not just for me to meet my fellow researchers and people as well, but also for the general public to just see how important archiving is in preserving our languages, in preserving our folk songs. And yeah, I think my future project would be, I'm working on folk songs for children, so kind of transcribing some of the folk songs I have into piano music and hopefully have a book out, and then children can explore our folk songs through that. And hopefully that will happen sometime in the future, but I just think introducing our folk songs to kids at a young age would be a great way just for community preservation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think this is, I mean, we could go on and on for hours. I'm just kind of feeling I'm getting warmed up right now. I really want to thank you all, Shubha and Jeremdy, Dr. Bataina. Perhaps we can continue this conversation since the listener is planned as a rolling festival, Maybe we should consider this an ongoing conversation, because obviously, Dr. Bataina, you just started your archive. You know how long it's going to take for you to get this going, right? It's a lot of work ahead of you, right? So thank you very much, Shubha. Thank you, Jeremdy. I'm sorry we're a little out of time. And thank you, Dr. Bataina. And thank you all for coming. So, and here, over and out, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
What a fantastic session. And I'm so happy with all the initiatives that all three of them are taking in preserving our cultural heritage. And I really cannot wait to see what the future holds for them. And finally now, to our long overdue session, we delve into the enchanting world of Identity in a Whistle, Jing Rawai Laobe, a mother's love song, featuring Rothil Kongsit and the Gongthong Village Ensemble. Joining him as discussant is Dr. Madeline Yvonne Tham, an authority in English from the Khasi tribe of Northeast India, with an illustrious academic journey that reflects a blend of intellect, culture, and compassion. Alongside her is Rothil Kongsit, whose profound expertise in this unique art forms adds a captivating layer to our exploration. Get ready for a deep dive into the world of whistling, identity, and love songs. Please give them a warm welcome as we begin this enlightening conversation. I just want to make a quick change. Dr. Madeline Yvonne Tham is also the INTACT convener of Meghalaya.
Good afternoon to everyone present here, our guests from abroad and our hosts in Nagaland, especially Madam Senti, who's the convener of Nagaland chapter of INTACT. I'll just give most of you, since we are not from Nagaland and we are from another state, nearby state, I'll just give a short introduction into the state of Meghalaya. Meghalaya is a state bordered by Assam and Bangladesh. And there are three main tribes in the state of Meghalaya, the Khasi, Garos, and Jantias. And Kongsit and the Whistling village is actually located in the East Khasi Hills district of Meghalaya. The Khasis were about 1.5 million Khasi speakers, and at present we are trying to get Khasi language registered in the each schedule. The whole government and the people are trying for that. And the Khasi tribe are a matrilineal society. We take the mother's surname and the property goes to the youngest daughter. So we have very structured roles for men and women. Men are supposed to do all the work outside the house, and the women take care of the children and the family and the property. And usually at the birth of a son, while naming him, which we call Jer Kirteng, they usually have a presentation of 3 arrows, one for the clan, one for the family, and one for the tribe. So this is just a brief history about the Khasi people. Another concerning the matrilineal, not to be mistaken for matriarchal. Most decision makers in the Khasi family is usually the maternal uncle and the father. So even though the clan surname goes from the mother to the children. And usually amongst the Khasis, as in totality, we never usually use our given names. In a family, if they have brothers and sisters, we have the tradition of, if it's a boy, we call them Baba, Badeng, Baret, and if it's a girl, we call them Tete, Dudo. So we have these pet names among, and the given name or the Christian name or Jer name is usually used only for official matters. And coming closer towards Kongthong is the same tradition that they have in their village. I have visited Kongthong. I'll just show you some pictures which I took while approaching the village of Kongthong, which is really a beautiful place, and I welcome you all to the Khasi Hills. It's 54 kilometers from Shillong en route to Cherrapunji, Sora, and it is a very unique village, and you must have heard about Kong Sit mentioning Yao Bei. So Khasis believe a factor that I want you to notice about the Khasis, however poor the sense of aesthetics and the love for nature. I see these all the tattered little cottages with flowers growing in the garden, so that they have the sense of aesthetics in them. And something about life village, and this is the Khasi traditional dress of the dancers. I just took this because it was market day, and we're trying to get UNESCO heritage tag for our living root bridges, and you find them all over Khasi Hills. Program. And this is the homestay of Ruth Hills. So now I hand over the stage to Mr. Ruthel Kongsit and his team from Kongthong Village. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Our living tradition which have been practicing in Kongthong Village. So now I'm very much happy that Kong Magdalene has explained about our Khasi tribe, Khasi community especially, and that I can say. But actually the real meaning or the real name of this tradition, we call it Jingrua Yobe. It is like a mother's love song, where a mother composed for her newborn baby. So I'll start explaining more about this, and I request you all that please don't mind, because actually I couldn't speak well. But this is my passion as she was giving birth. As a mother who takes care of her baby, she is very much happy, and at the same time, that happiness and love, so spontaneously, it comes from her deep heart to express in the form of tunes. Actually, it's a humming. And when a mother composes these tunes, while she's composing a tunes for her newborn baby, she's trying to find the best tunes according to her. And then secondly, she'll similarities. That's why that these new tunes, or Jingrua Yobe, which she's composing for her newborn baby, is unique and different from everybody in the village. And then, when we are grown up, we use this Jingrai way in 2 ways for communication. You know, inside the village, for calling someone, we don't call his or her name, but we used to sing or whistle by his or her song's name or Jingrai. And this whistling always done by the male, not the female. But for singing tunes, we use both, for male and females. And the full tunes, we use when we go outside the village. When we go to the field, suppose I'm walking in other side of the hill, and maybe my friends or relatives are walking in other side. It might be 2 or 3 kilometers. It will show how we are using in our day-to-day life in Kong Thong village. One. Okay. Now I'm calling, his name is Feeding Star, but that is how we used to call. Okay. His name is Tujan Lendra. So this is, if it is near, then we used to whistle. Otherwise, if it is too far, then we used to sing. Because no, if we whistle, then it can go to a very short distance. But if it is far, then we used to sing, so that it will go loud and clear. Okay, now I will call another teams. Sorry, I have a fever, I use teams. One. De. Okay. And then okay, let them stand there. So this is, you know, our parents, before going to the field or before having lunch morning time, suppose if the children are going back home, then they used to call by just calling these tunes. And suppose if one of her children, maybe son or daughter, if they are doing something wrong, which their mother don't like what they are doing, at that point of time, as a mother, she's angry. When she is angry, she's no more in a good mood. When she's no more in a good mood, she couldn't sing anymore. And instead, if she want to call them with an angry voice, then she will call by his or her name. So from the calling itself, we can understand and we can realize that my mom, she's angry of me, because since it is a part and parcel of our life, we don't realize about its uniqueness. We live with it. Until in the year 2002, there are someone from outside when they came in the village. And when they saw that someone is shouting and someone is responding, they are surprised. They are missionaries. And they said, what is this? Someone is shouting from here and someone is responding from there. And our villagers, they told them, this is the Jingrai way which we used to communicate each other by calling our friends, relatives, or our children. So from that point of time, in the year 2004, there's one local news channel in Shillong, the PCN, has documented Kong Thong and highlighted in their weekly news. And since that time, people of Meghalaya get to know about this Kong Thong village. And even we ourselves, as the villagers, we get to realize that, wow, we are having really the very unique tradition, which we should be proud of it. Since that time, I was still studying in class 11. But because I'm the one who know at least to speak English, when someone from outside they came in the village, I'm the one to interact with them. Though I couldn't speak well actually, but I'm trying my best because I realized that we are the only people who live with this tradition. If we are not the one to explain, who will be? because we know it better about our own tradition. So from that moment only, that passion, that love of my own tradition keep growing in my mind and my soul. And then later on, it goes like that, where when someone from outside, they came in Gongtong, the village head or the Ramashno, they used to call, Rotel, you have to come in the village because tomorrow someone will come to interview about this Jingruayo Bay. And then I have to be in the village. And slowly and steadily, I live this tradition. And with the support of all the villagers, we are thinking, we have a dream that maybe one day we should do something to conserve and promote it. Because that just to conserve is not enough. At least we have to do something so that it will bring the benefit for our own people. Myself, I've taken the initiative to form the cooperative society under the name the Indigenous Agro-Tourism Cooperative Society to promote this tradition and the whole village under the cultural tourism, where people from outside, they can come and experience our unique tradition which we're having. And that happens in the year 2012. It takes me almost 8 years to convince my dear friends and villagers to come up at 15 numbers to form this organization. And then later on when we start this, there are some villagers that are against because they say that if someone from outside they came, then they will destroy and they might impose their culture to our culture. But I said, no, we just showcase our tradition. And they will be the one who will, showcase to the whole world, share to the people that Gongtong has this unique tradition. And then slowly, people realize that we have done the best approach to conserve and promote our tradition. And then later on, it goes like that. In the year 2018, there's one MP from Delhi by the name Professor Rakai Sinha. He's the scholar, the professor in Delhi University. He speaks in Parliament that government of India should take Gongtong to include in the UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage because of this unique tradition. Everybody was surprised because they don't know about this Gongtong village. But later on, when he got a chance to visit Gongtong in the year 2019, when we present and when we saw people, they are really living with this, then he declared to adopt this village. After his adoption, we have seen that government of India has got interest to do something to recognize about this unique tradition which we are having. So this tradition keeps on living because of our friends, the scholars from all and abroad. They used to come there and to document about this unique tradition. Yes, as of now, we are 723 people in the village, which means that we are having 723 different tunes, but there's no record at all. I mean documentation of these tunes. Our forefathers has passed by. Their tunes also has gone by. Millions of them has gone. That's why we are thinking that at present we should document so that it will remain for the next generation. And we do hope that with the intervention of some concerned department like the Department of Arts and Culture, we have in our state, maybe they can do something so that we can conserve this tradition in a much better way and we can live with this tradition proudly. Okay, now we just assume that our team here, they are in the opposite hills where they are working. So I request them to communicate, to sing the tunes, exchanging the tunes as how we are living in our day-to-day life in our in Gongtong village. So I request both of you to take a mic and do the same as what we are doing and living in our Gongtong village. Okay, you can start. actually there is no conversation. It is like a humming. We just chanting it. We are just singing it tunes only. Yes, identify each other. Means that there is no lyrics or no conversation. It's like just expressing by singing the tunes. This tunes is like a humming only. And you know, suppose if someone sings for, suppose say I sing for him. If he's not there, even if his wife she is there, she could not respond on behalf of him. This is a very simple and honest practice where we don't play or make a jokes with this. If we call anybody, means that we need to know where he or she are. So this is how we are living with this, this tradition or Jing Raya Bay. And maybe you might be misunderstood or maybe confusing because we call whistling. See, this whistling comes from the people from outside. Actually, in Kongtong, we call it Jing Raya Bay. It is like a modest love song. But when the people from outside, when they came in the village, when they saw that the boys used to whistle for their friends or relatives, and then they call whistling. Yes, no doubt, you sing both. We used to sing and also we used to whistle. That's why, means it's not wrong to call the whistling tradition also, or the whistling name also, because we use both. Well, I think like anything to compliment or you want to ask more, then we will be very much happy.
Wait.
Since you are communicating with the other person from on the other side of the hill through songs or through whistling, now supposing the other person on the other side is in danger, is there a certain whistle that you use?
Means if they are, I didn't
If they are in danger or they are in trouble, if they are in trouble, is there any way of communication or to identify that one is in trouble?
No, sir, there's no like that, but we just shouting, you know. If at that moment we used to shout or sing, sing someone for help. And you know, it is interesting, like in our Khasi community, we used to believe that in the forest or in the jungles, there are some bad spirits which we could not see by our own eyes. So, that's why when we go outside the village, because we want to hide somebody's life, you know, so identity. Suppose, because my name is Rothair, if we go in the forest like a high Rothair, if that bad spirits or ghosts, they might hurt my name and they might catch my spirit and I might instantly get ill. And sometimes people used to die also instantly. So to avoid of that, you know, identifying of that bad spirits for somebody else, then we don't call somebody's name in the jungles. We used to sing or whistle by his or her Jing Raya Bay, these things. And this is very much helpful also. Like when somebody is missing in a very crowded places, it happens so many times. Because they are villagers, then we go to Shillong and some children missing. So it's very difficult to find them if we call by his or her name. But once we sing by these tunes, wherever they are, then easily we can find or trace them. This is the technique where our ancestors are very intelligent enough, where we use this as a mode of communication. Though it happens because of love, of mother's love, but when we are grown up, we took this as a mode of communication inside the village, in the field, and even in a very crowded places or congregation.
Hello? If I could just add another thing which I observed while going to Kongtong village, is if you notice it's on top of hills, and they're cultivating and farming on the slopes of the hills, and I think a lot of echo happens. So if you call out somebody's name, it might get distorted, while a whistle or a tune doesn't usually get distorted. So I think that's a very good way of communicating with in their farm areas and slopes, isn't it? Any more questions?
Yes, sir. There are some nearby villages also, they used to have this tradition, but it seems like it is not popular that much. So as per the story of our elders, Kongtong village is the original, the beginning of this tradition, and it spreads to these nearby villages because we are living in the same areas. And to add more, if someone from the village, they stay in Shillong or some other places, though they are originally from Kongtong, but since they are living with other people, and they are living with the, they don't have any more this practice as they are in the village, they totally forget this tradition. Once we don't speak our local dialect, once we speak the official Khasi language, then we totally tend to forget this tradition. It happens so many of us, there are some of them that are staying in Shillong, even they are originally from Kongtong, but the children, they don't have these tunes because they are living in a different environment, I can see. So the nature, it seems, are the one who inspire our mothers to have this tradition.
Are there no villages within East Khasi or West Khasi?
No, sir, only in this area of Ashnong, there are some villages near Kongtong, they have this tradition. Not in East Khasi, in East Khasi, West Khasi, or Giant Hills. No. It is only particularly in this area, small area of Kongtong. That also we get to know after Kongtong has been popularly known. Otherwise, we thought that they don't have that.
Is the exact doing something to preserve this village or any other agency?
I think they've got a lot of support from the central government. MP scheme, can you talk about the MP scheme that was, and the visitors from the parliament recently in Kongtong village?
Yes, regarding conservation, particularly for this tradition, till now nobody has taken the initiative. But for the overall of the village development, we have got the sanction from the government of Meghalaya under the tourism department. Means to improve our life standard at the same time, but means to adjust as per our local tradition or local portion.
Adopted village scheme?
Yes. Government of India also because has sanctioned about 7.5 crores because this MP has adopted under the SAGI, the Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana. So we do hope that this will happen soon. But to document properly about this tradition, till now there is no initiative by any institute.
No film
So many films, hundreds of films has came there, so many people are doing that. But means to document each one of us in a very systematic manner as an archive means there is no one doing
Yes,
that.
we'll do something when we get back home to Shillong.
Maybe.
I have one question. If there is, may I ask something? Yeah. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a wonderful tradition. You mentioned that you are 723 people. That means you have 723
Tunes.
unique
Yes.
tunes. So I'm wondering, if a new baby is born, how do you assign a tune, and how is it going to be different from the rest of what you have?
See, I have mentioned before, after a mother giving birth for a newborn baby, so that mother only, she will compose the tunes for her newborn baby. And while composing the tunes, as I have said, she will try to find the best tunes according to her. And then secondly, she will try to compare with other people in the village. If that particular tunes which I'm composing is similar or not with someone else. So once she ensures that this is similar.
Thank you.
There's a question.
is no documentation or record. Means once a person died, he's yes, ma'am.
take up very soon.
Any more questions from the audience? About
We have a question up here.
students?
Hi. Oh. Hi. This is regarding the documentation. By the way, I loved your presentation. That was really nice. So when you say that each whistle is new and you don't have record of the previous whistles, and if you keep documenting the whistles, then do you think that in the times to come there will be a lot more pressure on creating newer whistles which do not resemble the old ones? Because right now it seems like a very self-sufficient system where if somebody dies, the whistle is gone, and people who remember that whistle is also gone. So you probably are reusing a lot of the whistles now, which is easier to work with. But once you document it, then there'll be a pressure to keep creating a new one.
No, I think because our models are very intelligent enough, I can say, and we have been inherited with this skill or talent. So I think that will not be a problem.
Sorry, just to counter that, because documentation has not yet happened, you know that it's not been a problem because you created new tunes thinking that it's not been used before. But once documentation happens, then it'll be a new system. And that's what I just wanted you to sort of think about.
That too, I cannot predict what will happen.
Yeah.
But we do hope that means mothers or our ladies will know how to compose a tunes, which should not be similar with someone.
Maybe we will, another thing, do we all crave for education? And we are here also because most of us are, from the educational background. It's scary to think that a time will come, maybe they won't be into farming anymore, and loss of this tradition. So documenting it would help in a way in preserving for future users. As it is, Bahir has finished his master's in which subject? In Khasi. So we are going into a field of literacy, and as we forget our oral tradition. So maybe to keep it alive, we can do a small documenting project from INTAC, and we look for funds from UNESCO.
Definitely, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
I have just a very simple question.
Yes.
For all of us again, if you could kindly repeat your names again, so as to know
Yes.
each one's difference,
Definitely.
the affliction or the tonal quality or whatever. If all of you can again repeat it, then I guess we can have some kind of a sense about who is who, and then perhaps maybe we'll know in future how the tune could be changed or how a new tune could be composed.
Given.
Can we?
And
Have
another
a round?
thing, just
Yeah,
to add to that,
Yeah.
if you visit Komthong village, the elderly women can come up with a tune for you, a special tune just for you. But you have to visit Komthong for that.
And that's very interesting. Yeah, that's
That's a
that's
very
going to be
good,
one of that's
tourist
going to be one of
attraction.
our wish lists. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a kind of a tattoo.
Yeah.
You get your own
Yeah.
tune.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, could we again repeat your names again? Yeah.
Okay.
So, sir, before we go and repeat our tunes, yes, just to compliment with what Madam has said, the only challenges which we are facing now, because we in Komthong we have up to upper private school, and most of the children when they want to for further studies they have to stay in Shillong or some other cities there. So if since the child age, like they stay in some other places, and they follow the other way of living, and sometimes they tend to forget this tradition. So we are afraid that if we go away from our village, And also at the same time, if we don't follow anymore this agricultural practice, definitely there is a danger sign where it can get lost. So that's why we request the government actually, if we have a school, at least up to secondary or higher secondary in depression, and when at that age, they are grown enough, and if they leave depression, so they already know everything about the traditions, how their parents are living and practicing. So this is the only problem. We are thinking that if we urgently we don't have this change or the approach from the government, that will be the point of weakness, which might affect our tradition. Okay, anyway, hopefully things will change in a very positive manner. And yes, now again, I would like to request our team from Kong Thong Village to introduce the official name and Jingruai Yaube.
So my name is Bansa Buromlang Retang, and my whistling name or Jingruai Yaube is
Short.
My name is Piding Star Kongset, and my whistling name or my Jingruai Yabe is my short version of my short tune is
My name is Shaktiman Kongsit, and my Jingruai Yabe is and my shirt is
My name is Beautylin Kongsit, and my song's name or my Jingruai Yaube is and my song's name is
My name is Stojan Lana, and my Jingruai Yabe or my song's name is and my short song is
inform you, the mothers of Feeding Star and Beautylin, she's the best composer. She has 4 children and she composed the best tunes for them. And you know, as a token of love for our Honorable Prime Minister, which is now publicly, okay, I will do it. Yes, that is the tunes composed by his mother for our Honorable Prime Minister.
Or I'm just wondering, like, is there a correlation with that and your humming culture?
No. Originally, these tunes came because of mother's love and happiness. But you know, our ancestors are very intelligent enough. When we are grown up, they took this as a mode of communication. So we use it is 2 parts. Means it comes because of mother's love for her baby. But when we are grown up, since there is no mode of communication, we are living in a very remote village. So it seems like there's no other opportunity, only these things which we can communicate with the people. So that's why we took this as a mode of communication when we are grown up.
Hello, just get back to you on that. The Khasis are generally, they have this superstition that you shouldn't use your real name. So even as I had explained earlier, among siblings, we don't call each other by our given name. We say that Baba, that means eldest brother, then Badeng is middle brother, then Kongrit is a middle sister, Dodo is the younger sister. In all families, we use these terms to, among siblings and within the family. And the given name is usually just used in schools or in official occasions, So there's the belief that, we're trying to protect our identity, and superstitious belief also that if you go through the forest and, evil spirits might hear your name, and then at night when you're sleeping, they might call you out and you might go into the forest, or you get, into another realm. So there's these fairy tales and, stories that we have in our Khasi tradition.
But this also happens also, it really happens also in our village.
I can imagine, because this is all time-tested theory.
Yes, ma'am. Because, suppose for me, for naming me Rothel, then we have the naming ceremony as per our beliefs, and we used to perform the rituals. But for naming a person by tunes, there is no ceremony. So it is only a communication between human beings, we do believe. Because we don't pray to God with these tunes. The song's name means only for human communication, but this name, we perform the rituals where we do believe that not only human being, not only God, means every creature, even the mother nature also, we get to know about me. So that's why we used to pray also, wherever we go, that God will protect. And to hide our name, then we took this secondary name, as a secondary name where we can hide our real name.
We have an equivalent to a christening ceremony called Jer Khod. So we have, the whole family has to come together and choose 4 or 5 names. Then on a betel nut leaf, then whatever, with the Khasi wine, whatever stays, and then only that name, Kakyar, and only that name is, suitable for that child. So, and then we have this Jer Pujer, which everybody partakes, to eat from. This is the Khasi.
Yes.
The Saint Khasi.
Only the Khasi who still believing in the indigenous.
Yes, the indigenous religion of the Khasis. Yeah.
Saint Khasi is a religious organization of the Khasi tribe, Khasi people.
Yes.
There's a program of the government which is called Vibrant Villages, or Water Villages.
Yes.
There's a program of the government called Vibrant Villages, or Border Villages. So I would request if we could examine whether possibility exists of. We'll have to check on that. So whether some funding is possible from that.
Yes. We can document these dues, and it will be an interesting presentation.
Community-based program which the community avails of.
Yes.
So your community should try and avail of this.
Thank you very much, sir, for the suggestion.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone, for sitting through the session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Madeline, Mr. Rothel, and the Kong Thong Village Ensemble. It was truly, truly fascinating. So now we will proceed directly to a tea break, and we look forward to reuniting with you at 4:15 for an exciting concert session. See you then.